Hello and good evening. Yeah, good evening. 7 o'clock here in Portugal. I'd normally do this at midday on every weekday. I've been doing this for the last 2 weeks on Portuguese time at midday, and we've just been having a little pause and coming to our senses, doing the pause practice, feeling the weight of the body on the chair. Really simple mindfulness exercise, meditative exercise one way of putting this is let me just put this onto the screen. And I thought I'd done this before, but it seems to have disappeared. So I'm going to retype onto the screen a question to consider. And we will do the pause practice as well. And this is a chance, if anybody has any questions or observations about that process, to ask them, because we may well stick around a little bit longer this evening. But the question I want to ask and keep coming back to tonight as a focal point, if you like, is who's looking at what? Okay, so I'll get deeper into that question. It's not meant to be a philosophical question. It's meant to be a helpful, proactive inquiry, if you like. And I don't know about all the debating terms, the philosophical terms, the methods, Socratic methods, and all of this. It may well be something within that realm, but the question is for this evening that we might take a look at and peruse or pursue, which are an anagram of each other, I believe, are who's looking at what. So I'll tell you what I'll do. I will do a pause practice for people who watch this again later on. Let's do that first and give anyone a chance who wants to watch or ask a question to come and do that. But first and foremost, and absolutely the most important thing here, is to come back to life. That's the name of a book I wrote a long time ago. And my ongoing interest is in coming back to life myself and helping others to do the same. Coming back to life in the sense of returning to all that we truly are, and whatever we I was going to say whatever that means to us. I have a very specific meaning about that, which is probably a little bit too deep to go into right now, but you can read the book, and I hope you at least get the gist of what that might mean, coming back to life. And what I mean by that is coming into the now, the here and now, and being here right now. What else is life if it is not what is happening right now? So for the quick shorthand in conversation, coming back to life means being here now. And what I've been doing for the last 2 weeks is practicing an exercise, leading an exercise, if you like, in how to have that happen. And at least if it doesn't take you all the way into that being a reality for you right now, it at least starts that journey and points you in the right direction. And the usual caveats apply. If you think I'm talking a load of old nonsense and you're finding me irritating, do not watch. That is absolutely not what I'm intending to do or offer. What I'm intending to do is give something of lasting value. And because we are all looking at this from a different point of view, and some might be attracted to that invitation of coming back to life and being more present more of the time, or being in the now more often than not. That's roughly speaking the area in which I'm offering an invitation. And if that invitation isn't for you, it's pointless you being around when you could be doing something much more enjoyable. If, however, you find that invitation attractive or at least intriguing, then stick around and see what might happen. But really, my intention is not to irritate or annoy anybody, because that can quite easily happen within the realm of these sorts of conversations often. And also, they can be extremely helpful to people, as I found when I first started to see that there might be a different way, or I've always had a sense that there might be a different quality of existence available as I was growing up as a child. And then as that revealed itself to me in my own inquiry, I was delighted to find the teachers, the kindred spirits, the fellow travelers who reflected that, and that was such a great relief. So that's I guess that's the fork in the road, isn't it? Is like, if you think this is nonsense and is irritating and annoying, it's not for you, and that's fine. I'm not in the business here of persuading anybody to do anything. And on the sign on the other road is, we'll come this way if we can go on a journey together of more unfoldment, personal discovery. I don't really like any words that suggest that it's better than anything else. It's just what it is, and we're going in a particular direction, and that direction is to have more now. It's difficult. It just feels difficult tonight to put that into useful words, but maybe you get the gist. Maybe you get a sense of what I'm endeavoring to convey here, and you may have seen the previous midday moments as well as an indication of what we're doing. So, given that there are at least a couple of people here, how about we? And this is the moment, hilariously, where as I ask people, viewers, to interact, they suddenly disappear. So let's see what happens here. First of all, if the technology is correct, please say hi if you are watching and if you have found it useful before. Hi, Cordelia, lovely to see you. And I owe you a message, by the way. Your message that you sent to me that I didn't respond to is noted, and I will get back to you on that, because that too I find utterly engaging and fascinating, and want to talk to you more about that, the message that you sent to me on WhatsApp. Thank you for the acknowledgement. Yeah, so given that we are here together and we might partake of a little rest and relaxation on a Sunday evening, thank you very much. Nice bit of Portuguese this evening. Used that earlier on today at the laundrette, in the most mundane of scenarios, where a lady put her money into my machine, and I could have just laughed and kept it, couldn't I? But we figured it out, and I use that very phrase in Portuguese, "não faz mal," and that actually is a lovely phrase to have. Let's "não faz mal" now, which literally means to no do bad. How about, by sitting here peacefully, quietly, at least we're not on the streets causing trouble this evening, just after 7 on a Sunday night. And we might begin this process then of feeling the weight of the body on the chair. And only do this if you want to, if it's comfortable, if you're not driving, etc., etc. If you're in the mind for, or aligned or leaning into, possibly the idea of some depth of presence, of deepening your awareness of being here now. Let's go. Let's do this. And feel the weight of your body on the chair. And immediately what happens for me with that is that I do indeed feel the weight of my body on this chair. And I get to see my posture, which is arguably not ideal at the moment, but I'm going to go with it. And I become aware of my breathing, because because of the posture that I've got, and I'm not changing for a moment, but I can feel the air coming in and out of my body. Shoulders rising and falling, and perhaps it's the same for you. But if I can ask you to be aware of your breath, of the air coming in and out, of your breathing coming in and out of your body, the rest is up to you to observe what's going on. And this is that question. I'm opening my eyes to answer that first question. Please, if you can, continue to feel the weight of the body on the chair. Have an awareness and a sense of the body on the chair, as well as considering and asking the question. I think it's possible to do both. And that might be like a particle wave thing, where we're being and having a focus and not having a focus. Like we're aware. There's a particular awareness and there's a general awareness, and a particular awareness. And maybe that's what's going on at the moment. Some quantum being right here, right now, you and me, Cordelia, doing that. And I don't know if we're meditating or not. I mean, that's a judgment, isn't it? That's a classification. Certainly, we're in that ballpark, I would say, from my understanding of the word. I'm not sure entirely what your understanding of the word might be. And my preamble was all about being here in this now, as deeply and as aware as we possibly can be. And if that's your definition of meditating, I think it might be for some people, then we are meditating. But more importantly, is what we're experiencing. And this question of who's looking at what. So there is a who asking a question, and the what is, are we meditating? And so something is considering that question, isn't it? There are two parts to it. There's the viewer of the question and the asker of the question, if you like. And that to me is what this is all about, is creating space and depth of field in which that's taking place. So what's useful, what I found in my own experience to be useful, is to be more the viewer of the question than getting involved in answering the question. Because as soon as we get involved deeply in answering the question, we become the thinker of what is meditation. And is it like Krishnamurti's meditation? Is it like Barry Long's meditation? Is it like that meditation I did with the Brahma Kumaris many years ago? Is that meditation I did on that retreat weekend, and I've forgotten who led it now? And that erupts into a whole load of thinking and mental activity. And the perspective of viewing that mental activity can be pulled down like a drowning swimmer into a level, into the water, where first you were viewing something, you are now the something potentially in this scenario. So thank you for helping me endeavor to explain what I'm talking about who's looking at what. So in that explanation, in that diversion, if you like, I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean that our focus was taken to answering the question: are we meditating? And we may or may not be, but more important to me is what's going on for us right now. And what's going on for me in that is as I apply myself to answering the question, I become less aware of my body sat on the chair, and I can return to it now. I could continue to ponder the question, are we meditating? Or I can open up my awareness that might include that question and other options and other awareness. And what I'm immediately aware of is the sound of my heartbeat in my headphones for some reason, which again could lead me into, oh, I must go have I was going to call it a CGI. What's it called? Must go and have an ECG. And this is what's happening all the time, is it not, with the mind? It's just constantly throwing things up, vomiting possibilities and scenarios, which can be quite useful in a brainstorming session. But I would say, for the purposes of what I'm inviting you to do here now, is not entirely useful in its own right, intrinsically, but extremely useful in seeing how the mind behaves, and gives us something to be the who looking at that what of thinking, if that makes sense. And what's always great is to stop talking. And I was going to say stop thinking. Stopping thinking is very, very difficult. However, using the faculty of putting the focus of the mind on something, which was in the realm of thinking, we could use our focus, our awareness, to be aware of our breath and our body on the chair. Simple stuff. Come back to it time after time. Which, of course, for the thinking mind is like, oh my God, that's so boring. He says the same thing every time we do this. And it can be a matter of, okay, yep, I saw and heard myself thinking that, or I can be identified with the idea that this is boring. And again, we have this, it closes in and it opens out, depending on what faculty we're using and how we're using that faculty. And to me, there is a truth that remains, that if we put our focus and our awareness on the weight of the body in the chair right now, and the focus of our awareness on the breath coming in and out of our body right now, there is to me, and I can't speak for you, But for me, there is a an emerging profundity, if you like. There is an opening out. There is an easiness. There's a calm. There's a peace, and that might be because I've conditioned myself to do that, and it's a practice, and that all becomes a virtuous circle of phenomena or circumstances being created through activity, through habits, and I'm fine. I'm fine with that. I'm just giving it names. I'm calling it profound. I'm saying it's peaceful, and of course, that's in communicating with each other. That's all we can do, is it not? Is try and find the words to communicate with each other the sensations that we're having in our own reality, in our own perception, and then seeing how that's a match for each other. And what's lovely about that, and what's infuriating about that to me, is that we can always get bogged down in the, if you like, the ideology of meditation and trading our thoughts about it, or we can truly converse and unify in an appreciation, a sense of what we're mutually being aware of in that peace and stillness. And that's presumably why some people inside the monastery are sat peacefully with each other, perhaps meditating, and why there is an army outside trying to blow the temple up. That's 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 the that's an unholy and unfortunate scenario, and we have a choice, do we not? We have a choice to be the people in the temple, or the ones outside the temple, justifying our reasons for wanting to blow up the people meditating inside, which happens in this crazy world of ours. And that might trigger, that very thought might trigger, this is an opportunity to again observe the mind in the light of, in the response to what is being heard, who is looking at what. Am I looking at an unrest in myself now? I have ruffles of, ooh, that might have been a really awkward and nasty metaphor to use. I hope that hasn't upset anybody. And then I can go in more deeply into that, can't I? I can go into my emotions about that. About, oh, I hope I haven't upset anyone. I don't like upsetting people. I'd go into that and find myself under the water of that. Or I can pull back and go, I did say that. I did say that. And perhaps that wasn't the best metaphor to use. And I don't even know. I don't know what effect it's had on people. I know what effect it's had on me. And I can just let it go. And I can come back to the weight of my body on the chair and the breath coming in and out. It's like a story, isn't it? And he came back to the weight of his body on the chair. And he became aware again. She became aware again of her breath coming in and out of her body. And what she had, what he had, was the faculty, the ability to see who was looking at what. And the what was an unrest, and the who looking at it may be a who that looked upon it and saw unrest, or the who watching the unrest was also in an unrest, became unrestful. And that was all that was going on, was unrest, until that who that became the unrest got distracted into something else, maybe more unrest, or went to sleep, or indulged in an addiction. And that's the story. I think that's the story of humanity. Is it's a who looking at a what all the time, which produces all of our human dramas and stories and our everyday lives. And it's a comedy as much as it's a tragedy, and it's beautiful as much as it's ugly and horrific, and it's a heaven as much as it's a hell. And my endeavor in these brief moments, and I think it would be great to have an elongated brief moment now of being the who, looking at the what, starting with the weight of the body on the chair, the the pressure, the weight of the clothes on the skin, the sounds, the sound of my voice I can hear in my own ears, and I can relax my listening. I can be hearing what's going on. I can let myself speak without thinking about it and agonizing over it. And you can hear the words washing over you, and you can feel the pressure of your clothes on your skin, the weight of your body on the chair. And that just conditions my conditioned response to relax comes about in that suggestion. And I come away from unrest, and I come into rest, and I come into being, and I come into peacefulness as I judge it, as I call it, as I see it. And I don't know if that's the same for you. I trust, I hope it is, and I don't know. I don't know if that's the case for you. That's what we're about here, is seeing if that's the case. Hmm. Thank you for joining me, Cordelia. Beijinhos to me. And I'm going to read your comment whilst being in that scooped out space of peace and relaxation. So had a lovely journey. Thank you for joining me on that journey. Off to be on Earth and make dinner. Well, thank you very much for that. Some of your precious time. And I hope we weren't off the Earth, but I do get what you mean. You're going back to the world now, aren't you? And to make dinner. Yeah. And I imagine I'll be doing much the same. I had a little bit of that in the last little while. And whoever, if ever, whoever is watching, I will carry on middays of the week and Saturday when my local fire alarm goes off as a test. I'm not meditating while Rome's burning. There is a test signal in my town, and I use it as the call to stillness. I didn't hear it today, and I forgot all about it. But it seemed right to therefore be peaceful again, to feel the weight of the body on the chair, to let the breath and be aware of the breath coming in and out of the body this evening. So maybe it's 7 o'clock on a Sunday evening. It can be a slightly longer, slightly more ponderous and available session to do more of this and practice, and a chance to ask any questions if you've got them, and to be together in this peacefulness. So I thank you for that on this occasion. And for those of you who may see this in the future, you can join me live midday Monday to Saturday, and in the evening on a Sunday. And do ask questions if you've got any questions or observations in the comments of all the little videos. Please feel free to deposit any inquiries there. And I wish you well. Above all, that peace, that joy, I hope for you, and I have no agency really as to whether that becomes a reality for you or not. That's your business. That's your choice. And my business is my offer and my invitation to you to have it in your life, it through the method that I know works for me and that I share with you in good faith and with love. So perhaps see you on another of these occasions.